See it over there. It's coming, not yet. Yes. Yes, me. All right, we are live. And hey, I see you all coming in. And so we are live. Thank you for being here. As I get my screens together. All right. So thank you for being here. Share this live with other people. I am Tueri Dutton Forbes, life and wellness coach and founder of Empower to Fit. So I am getting ready to start us and kick us off in just a few minutes. But just want to give a couple of people an opportunity to get on, give you, those of you that are on, an opportunity to share. So give me a few minutes. All right, so I am going to kick us off. Once again, I am Tueri Dutton Forbes, life and wellness coach and founder of Empower to Fit, where I help working mothers and working wives identify the barriers to their wellness goals and develop a plan of execution. So I'm excited today for a few reasons. One, because this is the kickoff to a new platform that Empower to Fit will be hosting. And this new platform is 3 Degrees of Change: Your Mind, Your Meals, and Your Movement. Again, I am Tueri Dutton Forbes, life and wellness coach of Empower to Fit, where I help working mothers and working wives identify the barriers to their wellness goals and develop a plan of execution. I'm here and I'm excited today. We're kicking off a new platform that Empower to Fit will be hosting. This is the first episode or first conversation that we're kicking off. The platform is 3 Degrees of Change: Your Mind, Your Meals, and Your Movement. This platform will be focused on having empowering dialogue around health and wellness, with an emphasis on highlighting knowledge and services that are not as frequently promoted or accessed as a traditional means of wellness care. And so we are in the month of October, and we know that there has been a lot of talk and a lot of dialogue, a lot of promotion, a lot of information shared about breast health. And so as the month is coming to a close, some of that media spotlight around breast health will begin to dim. And we want to make sure that we keep the conversation going, especially due to the number of lives that have been changed or claimed by breast health challenges. And so I am so excited tonight to have a very special guest with me tonight. And I have Gaye Walden of Holistic Breast Health here with me tonight. And so she will be coming on in just a few. Our topic tonight is breast health, thermology, and self-care. And so Gaye is a certified health coach and has been since 2009. And she's also an AAT certified medical thermographer. And so Gaye and I met back in 2015 or 16 when I experienced some breast health challenges of my own. During that time, I was going through a period in my life where at the time I didn't know that it was Lyme disease. And so there was so many things happening with my body. And during one of my regular wellness visits, and it was my OBGYN visit, my doctor, who also does a hand breast exam, noticed a lump in my breast. And so doing that, when that happened, she wanted to send me to get a mammogram, which I did, and find out what was going on. But because I have dense tissue, they recommended that I go forward with a biopsy. And you can imagine the things that were going through my mind, the fears, the worries, the concerns, all of that, just from the process. And so fast forward, I had the biopsy done. The test came back negative for cancer, but it was a benign fibrocystic tumor. And so though I was happy that it wasn't cancerous, I wanted to know what caused it. What was the root cause? Why is this happening to my body? What can I do to prevent it, to address what was going on and to prevent it from happening again? And so one of my close friends, who I also call a Frista, y'all know who've been following me for a while, Frista is friends, infinitely representing sisterhood through it all. And so she and I have been exploring a platform called Truth About Cancer. And on that platform, they interview various wellness and health advocates in regards to holistic practices, or a combination of holistic and traditional, and educating the community about the truth about cancer and root causes and what we can be doing to prevent or to intervene in a healthy way. And so one of the practices or supports that was featured was thermography. And my Frista began to look it up and see what services we had here in Charlotte. And she found Gaye. And so she went for hers first and then connected me after that. So I am excited. Gaye, are you ready?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
We're glad you're here, Gaye. We can't see you though. You got to turn your camera on.
Better do that. How about that?
We can see you. Thank you. Thank you. We are so excited to have you.
Is that light behind you too glaring? Can you see?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see you fine.
Okay, just want to make sure. But this is great what you're doing, educating women about a very important aspect of their health. It's not discussed very often.
Yes, you are so right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have like a couple of stats that I want to share so people can understand even more, not just my story, but what's going on today in 2022 and why the information you're getting ready to share with us is very important. So just to share a couple of stats, and these stats were taken from breasthealth.org. And so the first one is about 1 in 8 US women, which is about 13%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. In this year alone, it's estimated that 280,000 plus new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the US. And 51,000 plus new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. And then also about 2,000 plus new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in men. There's about 43,000 plus women in the US who are expected to die in this year alone from breast cancer. And death rates have been steady in women under 50 since 2007, but continue to drop in women over 50. So those stats alone is enough for us to just have this conversation, continue this conversation, and share this with as many people who want to learn more about prevention and holistic intervention and what they can do, what's within their control. Because what I always tell those that who ear I am able to gain is that we have to live as the CEOs of our health. And that's exactly what you added to my toolkit in regards to my breast health practices, is about how to be the CEO over my breast health in addition to everything else I was already doing.
You took charge, and that's what this is all about. And what I'm doing allows women to be in charge of this.
Yes.
So often with conventional medicine, we're going and we're listening to someone tell us what to do without the knowledge of our bodies and without our own research into what they're asking you to do. So women's health is all about women being empowered with the knowledge of their own bodies and doing their own research before they say yes or no to any kind of procedure that they may recommend. I've definitely found that out in the years I've been doing this. You know, most women think that this is genetic. You know, we hear more about genetics and breast health than we do about prevention. You know, if you had an aunt on your father's side, you were more at risk. The reality is only 5 to 10% of all cases of breast cancer have a genetic component. That leaves 90 to 95% in control of the individual with lifestyle changes.
Right.
As you know, in working with me, and I am a health coach in addition to being a thermographer now, it's more important to have the follow-up than the imaging, because when you do any screening, you've got to know what to do with it. And after the thermogram, as you know, we take these images. I sit down and go over all the lifestyle factors that are involved and try to incent you to make changes where we can see positive change in the thermogram. That's what this is about. And no, 90 to 95% is our control with changing the way that we live. But are you going to interject anything before you want me to start more about thermography and how it's used for breast health?
So I'm glad that you mentioned how you sent me with information about lifestyle changes, because today, before, as I was getting ready for this opportunity, I found my document from 2016 and it was like 3 pages long. And I remember when you shared that with me, I was like, I can't do all of this. Like, it was overwhelming, but yet necessary. And so hindsight now, looking back, I am so glad that one, you shared that information with me. 2, you encouraged me. And 3, you told me and you said, to where just a little bit at a time, like do what's within your means. And once you whatever you implement new becomes a part of your lifestyle, implement something else. And so you encouraged me not to bite off more than I can chew, but you was sending me off with the tools that I needed to change my breast health so that it can prevent me from being in that same situation again. And so, I just appreciate you sharing that, because I still have my resources. And
that's wonderful. You're not the only one that's told me this about it being overwhelming. This follow-up information, this outline that I have, and I go over with every woman, because at the lifestyle, when you look at lifestyle, that encompasses a lot. So I'm very thorough, but we can't make changes overnight. Depending on where a woman is in this, she needs to make small changes, like you said, until they become a habit. And this could take years. I mean, depending on where she is. If the food is good, and to me, it's the foundation of this. And that's a huge part of lifestyle, is what we eat, right? So if that is good, then you're way ahead of most people, because the standard American diet is still the standard American diet, and people are not consuming healthy food because it's genetically modified. And I know that you preach this and promote this. So right. When food is the foundation, the other changes are easier. Changing the way you eat is huge. It really takes a while. But, thermography is something I didn't plan on doing as a second career. My daughter worked for a holistic doctor in the DC area who was a pioneer in thermography. And he trained me about 11 years ago. I went to his office, spent a week with him. And if I had not met him through my daughter, I would never be doing this. I was a holistic health coach before I became a thermographer. And so I knew when I started my thermography business after his training that I would incorporate holistic health coaching as part of it. And that's what I've done. Sometimes when you have a screening, if you go in the conventional way, they're going to give you the report and say, good luck, and not tell you what to do with it. Well, I knew that I wasn't going to take that approach. And hence, with holistic breast health starting in 2012, I have incorporated this follow-up visit. After a woman does the imaging and we generate a very detailed report, this follow-up is a crucial part of it. And some women, don't come back for a while because they feel like they are overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. Most of the women I image now, they're repeats, and they incorporate thermography in with some other screenings, because I have to tell you, I would not be doing what I'm doing if I told you this replaced the screenings that most women are familiar with. It does not. Now, I'm going to start here with my slide presentation. Is it up? Can you see it?
No, we can't see it yet, but while you're pulling it up, I'm so glad that you mentioned that it is not to replace the other screenings that they're having. It's to be in addition to, because it helps it becomes a additional piece of the important picture in how to take control over your breast health. So we can see your slides now, and then you can
Good.
just in presentation view.
Good.
Because they're not in presentation view if you want them in that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just need to what slideshow presentation view?
Yeah, there you go.
Beginning, from
Over
beginning.
from the beginning. There you go.
That's what we need. Okay, so this is my logo, and now I've been introduced as a holistic health coach and medical thermographer, which I am, and this business of mine started in 2012. And I have been educating and promoting breast health with using thermography for about 10 years now. And here is how we look at, this is the first image that I'm putting up to show you. Hold on a second. Why isn't it going down to the next slide on the presentation view? Wait a minute.
Gaye, click on slideshow at the top.
Okay.
And then from the beginning.
Well, then it's going to go back to that. The first slide, which is just my name. Okay.
Okay. You're probably gonna have to click on them individually.
And I am, and it's not coming up on the, well, I'm glad that Boris is here. Why isn't it coming up the second slide? I'm sorry here. I don't see.
Okay.
I don't see this. I'm clicking it. And I don't know why it's not showing up. What am I doing wrong?
That's okay. Technology can be fickle.
I want to get these slides individually.
Okay. So while you all work on that, I'm gonna mute you for one moment and just share this and then
Go
unmute you.
right ahead.
All right, so we're having a few technical difficulties, but they are minor. We are still going to move forward getting this information out because it is major. And so thank you to those that are on. Definitely share this opportunity with others that you feel like could benefit from this information, or that can share this with other people in their lives as well. And so we just want to make sure we can get this presentation in full view so that you can see everything. And so while Gaye is working on that, just want to also mention that I would love for you to like this video and share this video and tag someone. And so those who do those three, like, share, and tag, I will send you a resource document on breast health once I see that you have liked, shared, and tagged with others. And so I think we are almost ready to go. We are in full view now, Gaye. And so you can turn your mic back on and your camera on, and I will give you the virtual stage again. Yep, we can see it.
It appears there.
Okay. Gaye, you ready? You're unmuted. You're back on, and your presentation
All right,
is in
now I
full
think.
view.
Wait a minute. The arrow.
Click on here first,
Okay.
and I'll use the arrow.
All right. Okay. Sorry for that delay.
That's okay.
I want to show you this front image in color. We look at the images that I take. First of all, the thermal camera is very sensitive to less than 1/10 of a degree to pick up temperatures and temperature differences. And the reason why we look at them in color, one of the key ways we look at them is in color, is to identify specific areas that look like they could be warmer compared to the same area in the other breast. So the mapping of temperature to different colors can show slight variations in temperature, with the warmer areas being indicative of infection or trauma. And if it's not infection or trauma, it's inflammation. And this is why this is powerful. A lot of women are attracted to thermography because it's safe. There's no radiation. There's no compression. It's not a diagnosis. Neither are the other screenings. but it's the only one that gives you a risk assessment, and it's the only one that gives you a forecast, that if the forecast is not going in the right direction, we can reverse it. In this particular slide, above the right breast, you see a circled area here. It's green. Well, this color scale, black is the coldest, white is the hottest. As you go up the scale, you're talking about a minute amount of temperature difference. So if we see something in one breast that's in the warmer hues, but in the other breast cooler, then we measure it to see what the temperature difference is. And if it exceeds what we consider a normal temperature difference, then it brings attention to that breast. What does that mean? 9 times out of 10, it's lymphatic congestion. You've experienced that, right? Lymphatic congestion. That's something women have never heard about, either in their breast or in their body. But the lymph system is very important. It releases toxins from the body. And the only way to keep the lymph system healthy is to move, or in the case of the breast, move it. And that's what you have done, and many of the clients who come to me have done. They go to my lymphatic massage specialist, Claire, you've been seeing her, and learn. She teaches you how to do the lymphatic massage. She can do it on you. She's acquainted you also with cupping. She really helps soften that tissue, and we want to get that congestion that forms in the lymph, in the breast, flowing again. Many things can contribute to the lymph not moving. Bra wearing is a key thing. It is so huge. So especially wearing bras with wires, because that will create lymphatic congestion in the breast. So that's one of the first things I recommend from a lifestyle standpoint that a woman do is take the wires out of the bra, refit your bra, go get properly fitted. And every day, don't wear a bra with wires, because it is creating that lymphatic congestion. That and wearing antiperspirants, we must perspire. And if you're wearing antiperspirants, that's what that means. You're preventing yourself from perspiring. The toxins that are in that underarm area, they're not being released. Guess where they go? To the breast. So that can create lymphatic congestion. Of course, overall food, with the toxins in our foods, the GMO food that most people are eating, fast food, convenient food, that's also increasing your toxic load, which is taxing the lymph system. We also look at the images in grayscale, black and white. And the reason we do it is because the blood in the vein is warmer and it shows up dark. And you can see, I've actually put a pink mark on this, what we call thermovascular branching. Everyone has a little bit of this, and a lot of times it's related to structure, because structure enters into breast health as well. But the thermovascularity is something we look at and we want to establish your norm in this, because everybody usually has a certain amount of it due to structural imbalance and due to habits, structural habits. But we want to see what your norm is over time, so that if any of these blood vessels are continuing to form in certain shapes, we want to be on top of that, because the blood vessel formation around something to feed something is called angiogenesis, and we're trying to prevent that from happening. And that's why grayscale is so important. It's important that the breasts look alike, not just, every woman has different size breasts. It's not the size of the breast, but Claire's probably taught you this too, that if one breast is larger than another and it happens overnight, that's something to be concerned about. But if it's always been that way, then that's not a concern, because that's just you. Well, in thermography, we want, from a color standpoint, the breasts to look alike. And you can see in this image that the breasts look alike, and they're all in the cooler colors. You see the symmetry. Symmetry is important. When we see this kind of symmetry in an image, we know that the breasts are healthy. There's no difference anywhere within this breast as far as temperatures. Now, this is asymmetry. This is someone that has extreme asymmetry. And when this particular lady, I can tell you, had been previously diagnosed with breast cancer. She was curious about thermography and did this with me following a normal mammogram. But she is high risk on the thermogram. As I mentioned before, this is a risk assessment screening. So she was given a high risk based on our findings in this thermogram. And you can see that from a color standpoint, there's a lot of warm colors intermingled with the cooler colors, and the symmetry is not good. What this means for her, when we see this, she had a normal mammogram, but a high-risk thermogram. It means that the conditions are right for her to have breast cancer if she doesn't do something differently. That's what it means. And one thing I want to point out, there's certain areas of the breast that are always warm. It's the neck in a thermal image, underneath the arms, and underneath the breast. Those are normal areas, and that's why you're seeing the warmer colors in those areas. So we don't want asymmetry. And when a woman comes to me with a high-risk thermogram like this, I'm going to encourage her to do all the things that she needs to do to reverse this. The forecast, if the forecast is not going in the right direction, unlike a weather forecast, which cannot be changed, this can be changed. You can take action. And here I'm using some numbers, risk assessment numbers, because we do give risk assessment numbers in each breast based on our findings. But this, I'm going to show you a lot of before and after images. And each woman, when I show these before and after images, did different things that resulted in improvement. But I want to show you what it looks like here. This is a high risk in the right breast. You can see she's got warmth over that right global breast. And she's a 3+ in the left breast. Well, in a matter of 5 months, by taking proactive steps, do you see how her breasts become more symmetrical? That's what we want. This is a good example of someone coming in with a high-risk thermogram and taking action steps that improved her breast health. And we can see that because the symmetry is good. The areas of heat that we found in the original thermogram are no longer there. This particular woman was 5 in the left breast, and you can see, can you see my arrow when I point to it? I don't know if you can or not.
It's not as pronounced.
Yeah, over
right.
the left breast, you see there's green and yellow. You don't have that here. Do you see that difference? And you
Yes.
see, yeah, and you see here in the right breast that the nipple is definitely cooler because it's in hot pink, and this is warmer in the blue. And between these colors, you're talking about a minute amount of temperature difference. So she was assessed high risk 5, TH5 in the left breast, above average risk. And in 4 months, with making no other change other than lymphatic massage, she reduced her risk by 1 point in 4 months. This is unheard of. Usually it takes much longer to affect change. And usually it takes more than doing one thing before you see this kind of improvement. So I've seen this in so many images, how women improve their breast health with doing this lymphatic massage. It's powerful, very powerful. And you found that to be the case yourself personally, haven't you?
Yes, and for me, it took more than one thing, but it was definitely worth it. It was, definitely the lymphatic massage, but also the dry brushing that you educated me on,
Yes.
and then also changing my diet. Like those were the power punchers for me.
Well, food is definitely the foundation. And like I said, if someone comes here and they're not on a healthy eating path, that's where I focus my time with that woman, is making sure she knows how important it is, because the toxins in the food and the processed foods and the genetically modified foods, the standard American diet, that's what is contributing to all cases of Western disease, whether it be breast cancer or and we know what those standard diseases are, and they're on the rise. And unfortunately, in younger women, and you mentioned the statistic, there's an increase in women being diagnosed at earlier ages. So I'm very passionate about making sure that younger women know about this. And most women in general don't know about it, but women like our daughter's ages, 20s and 30s, it's not too soon for them to consider something like this. And because it's so safe, you see, a lot of women are attracted to this because there's no radiation. And mammography over time is you're getting radiation every time you do a mammogram. And it's cumulative radiation in the body that actually increases your risk for having breast problems. So here's another one that made significant improvement. I just want to give sampling of before and after images so the people on this call tonight can see visually what happens when someone comes in with a high, above average risk, and the scale is 1 to 5, anything 4 and 5. We want to see her make changes as fast as she can, but it does take time. And, she needs to do more than one thing normally. And most of these before and after images show women who have done more than one thing. And this particular woman did as well. Well, we're going to talk about some of these things that these women did do before the presentation ends. And so this is 1 week. Have you ever heard, you've heard of a far infrared sauna? I know you have. And do you use it at Claire's office?
I haven't used it at Claire's office, but I have used one at another spa as well.
Good, because I know it works. It absolutely works, because obviously perspiring is releasing toxins, but the lights off the invisible spectrum from a far infrared sauna, that goes to the cellular level to heal the body. This is very subtle what I'm showing you, but this lady used something was even more powerful than a far infrared sauna. There's someone in town that owns a piece of equipment called a Photon Genius. And it's like a far infrared sauna on steroids. And this particular lady is a flight attendant, not a flight attendant, she's a pilot. She's a pilot. And she's right in front of the instruments. She's exposed to fumes from the air. She's exposed to so many toxins. So I asked her if she would experiment with me with this far infrared therapy. And I gave her a thermogram before she started it, and I gave her a thermogram after 5 sessions. And in 1 week, just with doing this, she affected enough change to that you can see how she became cooler. It's subtle, but 1 week doing this therapy proved to me that in conjunction with some other lifestyle changes, that the far infrared therapy is something that I promote regularly. Whether it's a sauna, and this is her in grayscale, the same lady, the pilot, and it's very subtle. You can see the darker veins. And when we see this, she's got a lot of this thermovascularity that I explained earlier when I showed you the first grayscale image. And we want to really keep an eye on this, because it's a lot. But this dimmed, the blood in the veins, it's very, very subtle, but it was enough to affect positive change in 1 week with this therapy. I don't know if any women out there wear Spanx, okay? Spanx is something, this particular woman who's been imaging with me for some time, this left image here, when she came in 2017 for her annual, she was coming annually and does come annually. Her thermogram before this one was good. She went up to a high risk 5 in the left breast because of the differences we saw between the left breast and the right breast. And I said, what have you done differently since last year? Because her risk assessment was a 3 in the left breast, which is a good risk rating when it's stable. She said, the only thing I've changed, Gaye, is that I'm wearing Spanx every day. And I said, uh-oh, stop it. What it does, structurally, it restricts the rib cage, which negatively impacts lymphatic flow in the breast tissue. Is that not amazing? So she stopped wearing Spanx, and when she came back for her next thermogram, you can see that she had reduced her risk rating, and she improved the health of her breast by stopping that one lifestyle thing. So that's why I include Spanx here, and to show you structure matters in breast health. You can see the scoliosis, and so a lot of people have curvature in their spine. This particular lady, I've put this one up because this is it's a dramatic one, but it is to show the point that if you have any kind of structural imbalance, you see how much she lifts up on the right arm there? It's creating imbalance. That what that does, it affects the rib cage, which encompasses the breast. and the rib cage is affected, when it's restricted or something's out of place due to structural imbalance, it negatively impacts lymphatic flow in the breast tissue. That's powerful. So one of the lifestyle things, when I see something like this, or even not even something this pronounced, because this is severe scoliosis, I encourage her to work with someone who's going to help her with this structural imbalance, who knows how to help even her out. And then, then I've seen differences when someone does this in the lymphatic flow in the tissue. It improves the health of the breast. It's amazing. Most people don't know that structure affects breast health, but this is the reason that it does. And most of us walking have some sort of structural imbalance. Very few people are straight, and posture comes into play here. But if you're doing this all the time, or you're doing this all the time, heavy handbags. If anyone is carrying a heavy handbag that weighs 50 pounds, what do you think that's going to do on your structure? That's another lifestyle thing. If you can keep straight, not have these poor habits where you're always structurally imbalanced, then this lady can't help it that she has scoliosis, but she can work with someone to help even her out, and this will improve her breast health. So this is Dr. N's diagram of that, and you can see poor rib breathing motion means poor lymphatic drainage in the breast. That's a quote from him, and we see it all the time.
Yeah, I just want to share real quick that was a part of my story as well, because I have scoliosis also. I actually have two curves, one that's more pronounced at the top and a small one at the bottom. But that was something else that I had to change, where I was a person that would carry a work bag on my right shoulder all the time, and had to switch to doing a work book bag so I can have balance with what I was carrying and not just have it on one, or do a rolling tote instead. And so
you did the right thing.
Exactly. But yeah, that when you put up that picture, I was like, that kind of looked like me. That might be me.
Well, so many women have most women walking in my door to do a thermogram they have some sort of structural imbalance. Sometimes it's scoliosis, sometimes it's just minor, but even a minor imbalance can affect lymphatic flow in the breast, so the drainage in the breast. The doctor who trained me does an osteopathic technique that can correct this sometimes in one session. Now, when we go back to our former habits, that's the thing, whether it's a chiropractor or an osteopath, it takes usually more than one session to help you work on the structural imbalance that's going to improve your lymphatic flow in the breast tissue. Nothing happens overnight fast, but I educate women every day about this structural component, about which most have never heard that this enters into breast health. This is not something commonly known. So we can't talk about breast health without talking about hormones, right? Hormones are a huge factor. Hormonal imbalance can create those cysts that so many, by the way, fibrocystic breast condition is very common in women. About 50% of all women have it. That's high, that's very high. And it is related to hormonal imbalance. And let's face it, every woman who's cycling, and even women after menopause, are still affected by hormonal imbalance, because there's so many different things that contribute to this hormonal imbalance. Estrogen dominance is a term some women listening out there tonight know about, but a lot of women have never heard of this term. It means that relative to your estrogen level, your progesterone level is even lower. So, and why is progesterone always the low guy? It's because under stress, we're producing cortisol and adrenaline, and that suppresses the production of progesterone. And progesterone is the hormone that when you get pregnant, it makes you feel good, right? It's the feel good one. And we need enough of those feel good hormones throughout our lives, not just, that's why I think a lot of women feel good after their first few months in pregnancy, is because the progesterone is really, really kicking in. And that's what holds the baby in, the progesterone. But the reason I'm showing you this image is this woman here, you see she almost looks like a leopard. And when we see this in the black, and another reason why we look at the images in black and white, which is called grayscale, is because we can see this polka dotted look. And when I see this kind of extreme polka dotted look, I go right to hormones because, and this lady was taking a soy supplement, okay? A soy supplement. And I said, no, 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 no. And so she stopped. It took her a couple of years to get back to where she was before she came for the 2017 thermogram. But she stopped the soy supplement and started doing acupuncture to balance her hormones. And in 2 years, look at the difference. Her breasts became much healthier. Soy is not our friend. And most soy in this country is genetically modified and it's in processed foods and people think it's healthy. It is not healthy. The only healthy soy in moderation is fermented soy in the like miso soup. Natto is another fermented soy. The Asian culture, they know how to eat soy and they start their populace, their women and people in general eating healthy soy early in life. And early in life, when you eat fermented soy, the studies show that it has a protective effect. But not if you start soy later in life and eat not fermented soy, junk soy, which is what it is, it's going to be a risk factor for breast health because it so closely mimics estrogen. Soy is the strongest phytoestrogen. So all plants have phytoestrogens, but soy has strongest phytoestrogens. So this is where, I've mentioned about food being the foundation. Well, this particular lady came for her first thermogram in 2016, and she had a good one. You can see how the symmetry of the colors looks. It's good symmetry. A 3 and a 2 risk rating is a very, very good thermogram. Now, she told me at the time that she was whole food plant-based, but she wasn't picky about eating organic. Well, she from August of 2016 to March of 2018, when she came back for another thermogram, and the thermogram was even better. I said, what did you do? She said, I went all organic. So if you think food doesn't matter, you got to think again, because I see many cases of this with the food. But look at this, a good thermogram to one of the best thermograms I've ever done with anybody, because the symmetry is incredible. You see how they look alike so much? And so the whole idea with thermography is we're trying to pick up physiological changes, which we can do when we image the surface of the breast tissue and we pick up inflammation, because 9 times out of 10, it's not an infection or trauma, it's inflammation. We can reduce inflammation in the body and we can reduce inflammation in the breast. So, and if we can reduce the inflammation, what we're doing and make the tissue healthier. If something was beginning to change physiologically in the breast tissue, we can curtail it, which prevents it. We can reduce that inflammation and prevent any structure from forming. And you guys know what I'm talking about when I say structure. I don't even like, and Claire doesn't like to use the word LUMP. Cyst is okay, but we don't like TUMOR and we don't like LUMP. Bad words in what we do. So what we're trying to do is prevent anything that turns into disease from happening. So early detection is not prevention. Mammography is trying to detect early, yes. And through mammography, they're trying to pick up even conditions that many think are not even cancer because it's a couple of cells sitting in a milk duct. And through this sophisticated 3D mammography, sometimes they're able to pick up these clusters of calcifications that are kind of normal for the aging body. And I think dairy has something to do with it. Why does calcium go to parts of the body where it's not needed? But in mammography, they can pick up these calcifications and the changes that occur. And when they cluster, they want a biopsy. And they're picking up conditions that are not even, and they're calling it cancer, when in fact, many people call it a breast lesion or precancerous. And we should play a wait and see use a wait and see approach. But in the conventional system, they don't do that. When you have a couple of abnormal cells sitting in a milk duct, they're diagnosing as cancer, and many women are having treatment when this is something that's not really, by the very nature of the word cancer, it's spreading. When something is sitting there, we all have abnormal cells in the body. Everybody walking has abnormal cells. And what makes those abnormal cells grow and spread? Lifestyle. Your immune system has to be strong. You've got to be on a healthy path, keeping that immune system strong. What happens when these abnormal cells start to proliferate is that something is fueling it. And that's unhealthy habits are fueling it. And those are the things that we have to focus on, because that's the way to prevent. Early detection is not prevention. Thermography helps you get a heads up. It's a forecast. That's not a diagnosis. But this particular image, I can't tell a woman when I see something like this, and this is very different here in her left breast. By the way, it's always the left breast. There are more cases of breast disease in the left breast than the right, and I see more higher risk thermograms in the left breast than the right. Has to do with the heart. There's the left breast is where the heart is, and we know this is holistic. This whole approach that we're talking about tonight is holistic, mind, body, spirit. So the left breast is where the heart is. So if there's emotional suppression of any kind, emotional stress of any kind for over periods of time, it shows up physiologically in the breast. So emotions and emotional health and mental stress enters into this picture. I've imaged women who are grieving. The thermograms are never good. I've imaged women who are suffering something traumatic. This is not the kind time to come to do a thermogram when you have this kind of emotional. And some women live with this all the time because they're in unhappy situations and they are not getting out of them, and that's causing them stress. But the right breast is associated with male relationships, the left breast, female relationships, and matters of the heart. And guess what women do all the time with their heart? They give and 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 give. They are the caregivers of the world. And that affects even breast health. So I can't tell a woman when we see this, which she doesn't have here, that she has breast cancer. I cannot tell her that. I can tell her she's high risk, and hopefully that it's not cancer, but I've had women come here when it's too late. When we pick up something like this, and it does result in a diagnosis. But most of the women who come to see me, they're coming in time for us to pick up these changes before anything forms. It takes 8 to 10 years for this to happen in the breast. This doesn't happen overnight. So if you can come and do something like this, get a heads up, know what to do, then you're way ahead of the game. So these are all the technologies available. This is the thermogram. This is the mammogram. This is the MRI. Here's the ultrasound. And this is what just about every woman is getting nowadays. Tomosynthesis, which is known as 3D mammography. Insurance covers it. And they're taking more images of the breast here. You see that? So 3D mammography is designed for dense breast tissue, which 50% of all women have. When a woman has dense breast, they can't see what they're looking for in the mammogram because this is what the breast looks like. And what they're looking for is white. So how do you see anything in that breast? Fatty breast tissue, they can pick up something very, very easily. So women with dense breast tissue, and the younger a woman is, the greater her density usually. This is related to younger age. That's why 20-year-olds are not normally promoted to have mammograms, because that's what their breasts look like, right? So why would a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old get a mammogram and be exposed to radiation when they can't see what they're looking for? I try to educate women about that. Now, this is not from my camera, and this is scary, I hope I never see this, but there's a rise in incidence of inflammatory breast disease that doesn't show up as something you feel in the breast. It shows up as a rash and has some other signs. Well, this is younger women are being diagnosed with inflammatory breast disease. That is the type that nowadays that more and more younger women are being diagnosed with. And it's very aggressive. So I'm trying to get this technology, this thermography out to younger women and sent them to come and do this because we pick up inflammation. So if we could image a woman before it turns into this, right? She's going to be able to do something about it before and it's a very aggressive form. Unfortunately, not to scare any younger women out there, but I hope there's no woman listening to this who wears carries a cell phone in her bra. Please, 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 if you know a younger woman who carries her cell phone in her bra, I have had women who've done this have breast cancer right where that cell phone was carried in her bra. We have to get this word out to the young women who think it's okay to put a cell phone next to her sensitive breast tissue. That is a huge. Now, these are the protocols. I'm not going to go into much detail about this. I want to talk more about proactive steps. I've mentioned throughout this presentation all the things that you can do. There are other things that we haven't touched on, but the protocols are simple. For 15 minutes, I acclimate you in a temperature controlled room about 68 degrees. It's not freezing. And then the imaging takes 5 minutes. And it's a detailed report is generated for a fully interpreted thermogram. And I go over that report and make the woman understand why she has the risk assessment she has. And at that time, go over all the things she can do, or after we go over the report, all the things she can do to affect positive change. So this is the thermography room. Obviously, I'm dressed, but you'll be undressed from the waist up. I have a screen for those who are more self-conscious about undressing in front of a person that they just met. I do provide privacy, but it's simple. It takes the camera and my computer and a little jig around the rug. This rug positions you for every image that I have to take of you. And it's a very simple procedure. It's effective for women of all ages. Like I said, my goal is to get in the hands of younger women because the younger a woman does this, the more she has to gain. I mentioned dipped breast tissue. I image a lot of women with breast implants after surgery. They've had breast reductions to see if, any kind of surgery promotes scar tissue, and scar tissue impedes lymphatics. That's why after surgery, women need to do it. It's safe for pregnant and breastfeeding women. It's safe for them, but we can't really give a risk assessment for women in those categories because estrogen is flowing. The hormones are not what they normally would be. So if a pregnant or breastfeeding woman has a concern in the breast, I've been able to image her and tell her that, well, there's no heat there and you're okay. And that it's simple and painless. It's the only screening that provides a risk assessment for breast disease. The others are looking for something that's already formed in the breast. This is trying to give you the forecast so you can take action. So I have 2 appointment types, and I don't even know if you know when I say that. I have another one for repeats like yourself, but these are the ones that the fully interpreted thermogram includes the 9 thermal images, a detailed report, and the follow-up appointment to discuss ways to improve breast health. And I've gone to all credit card for that. And the Thermoglimpse is designed to educate a woman about thermography. And I just came up with this concept with Dr. Wren right before COVID hit, and I wasn't able to get it off the ground. All the images are taken, and during the cool down period, which is 15 minutes, you'll watch a video that explains what we're looking for. Kind of like what I've tried to do in the presentation tonight, explain what we're looking for, the symmetry and so forth. And then once these images, I take the images, I put them on a flash drive, and with all the images and a copy of that video that explains it. And she has 2 weeks to tell me if she wants to use the price of the Thermoglimpse, which is $75, to apply it to a fully interpreted thermogram. But even if she doesn't do that, she's been acquainted with thermography. She has the images, and truly, once you see a lot of these images, you can look at them visually to see if your breasts are healthy or not. You really can when you're empowered to know what you're looking for. So that is designed for the women who just don't know anything about it and just want to just get their feet wet a little bit. We say a test drive of a thermogram is what it's called. But I am offering these only, I have a second location now, and I am training a young mother who's been working with me for several years on my reports and so forth, the measurements that I do with my software after the images are taken that generate the report. I am training her in an integrative chiropractic office in Matthews on Mondays, and we're doing thermoglimpses on Mondays and thermograms. And I don't do thermograms glimpses here in my office. I do all the repeats here, and over time now I have enough clients that come back and image regularly, and so this is a way to spread it, and this is a very convenient location off of 74, and every Monday you can come in and do this thermoglimpse, and it's affordable and it's educational, because if you don't know about this, how are you going to know to do it? And so even if a mom says, okay, I'm going to pay $75 for you to come in and do this, even if she's going, I don't know if I want to do it, at least when she does it, she knows this is available and she knows what it's for. Even if she doesn't get into it right away, over time, I think the education about this will help her make decisions going forward about what she wants to do with her breast health. And and I'm hoping to really promote this for the 20s and 30-year-olds, but anyone can do a thermoglimpse if they've not come to me for a prior thermogram. It's for new people who want to learn about it and get their feet wet. So I hope there's some questions from the audience.
First of all, Gaye, I just want to say thank you for all the information you have shared. It definitely was a recap for me in our conversation and things that I have learned from you during my visits to you. Like I said, as you were sharing snippets of other women's stories, I heard pieces of my own story in regards to the extra dominance and
Yes.
in regards to the soy, that I was heavily into soy milk for years up until like being pregnant with my daughter and finding out like come off of it. So things
Right.
of that nature, and just making changes to my lifestyle and then committing to it. There are 2 questions that have been shared. So I'll share those 2. I know we are a little over, but we did have a little delay. So thank you for those who
I'm
are
sorry
hanging
for the
on.
technical issues.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It definitely, it's worth the time. And so even for those who may watch it in the playback, I definitely believe that they're going to walk away with some nuggets. But the 2 questions are, one is, has there ever been a time when a woman has come to you for a thermogram and then gone and it was clear or normal, and then gone to a mammogram and something was picked up there? And then how did you support that woman in that process? Or explain why something may have not been picked up with a thermogram, but was picked up with a mammogram, if you've ever had a case like that.
That's a very good question. First of all, I don't promote this as replacing the mammogram or the ultrasound. I have, when we pick up significant heat in the breast, normally, when women go to do an ultrasound or a mammogram, nothing is picked up. Because it's just lymphatic congestion and that's it. But and then she needs to do all these lifestyle things to correct it. Very rarely do I pick up a cool area in the breast where is later on diagnosed with breast cancer. Guess how many times that's happened? Once.
Okay.
So, but this is to show you that all these screenings have value. But it's very rare if a woman comes in here and she feels something in the breast. And there's no heat associated with it at all. The chances of that being something to worry about are slim and none. However, that area in her breast did not go away, even with lymphatic work. So she did further screenings and she was diagnosed. I've only had one woman And that's just recently. And even I showed this to Dr. Wren, and he's, this is a perfect example. Is no screening is 100%, but normally, if there's inflammation going on in an area of the breast and a woman feels something, she needs to take action. This is not something to delay, but it doesn't result in a breast cancer diagnosis very often at all, because it's lymphatic congestion. And when she moves the lymph system, addresses it from a whole health standpoint, and making sure she's on a healthy eating path, that heat that we find in that area decreases and her thermogram improves, just like I've shown you in a lot of these before and after images. And I haven't gone into detail about each one. I just wanted the women participating tonight to see the difference in a thermogram that doesn't look good and one that looks good, and know that this is in your power to make this happen. But yes, just recently, the first woman I've ever imaged had something in her breast. It did not show its heat, and she did further testing, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
That's
Yes.
rare.
Thank you for sharing that. And then the second question is in regards to just in your knowledge of reasoning why this type of service is not covered by insurances like mammograms and some of the other services are.
Boy, I wish it was covered. It should be covered, you know that. But this is not accepted in the conventional world as anything that has value, because the system is set up to diagnose and treat, not to prevent. Thermography is a screening that helps prevent it, because if you can know that there's something going on right now that you can reverse, that is prevention. We are not wanting anything to form and show up in another screening. That's the whole idea with thermography. And unfortunately, until more women do this and our system begins to change and become more preventive, that's going to take a lot of women standing up and demanding it. And that's the only way that the insurance companies are going to make this change and incorporate thermography in with the other screenings. There are some shared co-op plans that reimburse for thermography now. And one lady came in recently, she had a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, and she had some additional insurance that actually did credit some for the thermogram. So that was the first time someone with conventional insurance had come to me and said, this additional plan allows me to get some money back for the thermogram. So I was encouraged by that. But it's going to take women doing it and telling their insurance companies, I want you to cover this. So the system should become more proactive, but it's not. Every woman listening to this knows that mammography is the gold standard, and that's what is promoted to prevent breast cancer. Mammography does not prevent breast cancer. Making these changes that we've talked about tonight, these lifestyle changes, that's what prevents you from getting disease. And the system is a money-making system. And they're set up to diagnose and treat, and their way is just one way. And I think all women listening know this because they've had a friend or themselves who've gone through it, and we know what it is. Mammography, then an ultrasound, because you can't get an ultrasound without having a mammogram. And maybe you get an MRI if your insurance covers it. And then if they see something in any of these screenings that they want to further investigate, it's a biopsy, and they put a titanium clip in your breast, which can create inflammation, by the way. I've seen it in the images. And then after that, there's surgery, radiation, chemo, and drugs. That's it. I mean, that's what they follow for every woman. And first of all, I just think, it's like herding cattle. We're all different. That should not be the case for every woman. But until women stand up and say, I'm not going to do that, and take power and make these changes and say, no, I'm not going to do that, it's going to continue to be the system that's promoted for every woman, as long as these practitioners are saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And the women don't know their bodies, and they're not in charge this per se, like you've become in charge of this. And I'm incenting all women to become in charge of this. It's going to continue to happen that you follow the same way that they want you to follow, regardless of even what the diagnosis is as far as the stage and so forth, because that is the system and that's what insurance covers. And it's unfortunate, but standing up and demanding that the system become more proactive is what we all need to do collectively.
Thank you, Gaye. Yes, advocacy is key for change. And so thank you again for everything that
You're
you
welcome.
stand for all the information that you shared, for being a part of my wellness team.
I'm
and
so glad you make me, this is why I continue to do what I'm doing, is because I get this kind of feedback from women. It's affected them positively. And that's the whole idea with this. And
Right.
that's why I'm going to continue to try to get it into the hands of more women, and the younger, the better. Now, women can go on my website and check out all this information that I've kind of reviewed as far as the appointment type, and it answers other questions about thermography on my website. And any woman who has more questions can reach out to me by phone, by text, by email, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions that might arise after we end this tonight.
Awesome. And can they also find you on social media?
I am on Facebook. I must tell you, and I'm trying to do more on Instagram because they kind of go together. In order to get it out to the younger women, I am going to be working with someone on this Thermography to get in the hands of younger women through social media. I've been a little remiss during the pandemic using social media, but I'm getting back into it, particularly to promote this Thermoglyphs concept to attract the younger women. I may be doing like Thermoglyphs parties.
Okay.
So stay tuned. That's the kind of
Yes.
thing that will be promoted on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, for all this information. Thank you for the work that you continue to do to educate women about breast health and about being proactive and intervening in their health challenges. And so I am just so happy that you have been my first guest on 3 Degrees of Change. Your mind, your meals, and your movement. And you've talked about all 3 of those, how they connect to breast health in regards to the mind, the meals, and the movement. I am just so excited, Gaye, and just so grateful for this opportunity. And for all those that watch this on playback, definitely share this information. Reach out to Gaye if you have questions. Check her out on her website, on Facebook or Instagram. Also, follow Empower to Fit on Facebook and Instagram. And remember to like this video, to share it, and tag someone. And those that tag someone, like and share, I will send you a bit.ly link to some breast health resources that includes Gaye information as well as other things that I did during my journey, because it's about advocacy. It's about empowering, educating, and exposing the community to information so that we can all live and stand as CEOs of our health. So it was great being with you all.
Thank you so much for having me. I am all about sharing this, and I'm so honored that you've taken what I gave you initially, and now you're spreading it. That's what this is all about, helping one another. Thanks again, Vera.
Yes, thank you, Gaye. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.